Howdy ho, Star Citizens, my name is Black and welcome to my channel, Casa Black Gaming, for all your beginning guide needs and also my new ship loadout videos which I'm working on putting out for most ships, so no matter which ship you own, you have an easy go-to loadout complete with quick screens you can pause on to see which component you need, the cost, and location to grab them. I'm also streaming now as of this weekend, so check out my Twitch channel, Casa Black Gaming, on Fridays, Saturdays, and Tuesdays. Links are in the description below. Come by and say hi and ask questions. So yesterday, Star Citizen Live featured John and Richard from the vehicle team, and we got some hints about some things to come, specifically with vehicles, which was good to hear about, but also a bit of a bummer because it looks like the majority of changes are mostly Squadron 42 related, and it doesn't look like we'll be getting anything major in terms of much of the blandness we're currently seeing within vehicles and their loadouts until at least Pyro. But let's tackle what was discussed and what it means for the future of Star Citizen ships. So right off the bat, the first question asked was about physicalized armor, damage, and components, which was the main thing I was looking forward to learning about. Both John and Richard alluded to something they kept referring to as slowing down combat. We know the goals for combat are to eventually have it more component related instead of ship go boom. What this means for those who don't know is that they want players to be able to target certain ship systems like you might see in a Star Trek battle, where they try and target shields or engines or to overload the power couplings or what have you. Star Citizen wants this as well, so as Richard explained, instead of two ships flying fast toward one another jousting style, instead it would be what I understood to be more of a closed loop without so much chasing, and more time to aim and maybe use different types of weapons or have more chances to fire. This is something they have been testing for at least 9 months now, which would explain why they've been quiet since the 3.14 patch. That was honestly the last really big new update to ship combat with capacitors. Of course, we know that since then, Squadron 42 focus has been really fine-tuned, and while I'm happy to see them focusing so intently on it, I'm still anxiously awaiting a reason to have more loadouts and more use of so many of the varying shields, power plants, and weapon styles, not to mention some of the components which are almost useless, such as coolers and power plants. While no immediate answers to these much anticipated features were given, we do know that they seem to have an eye for major changes coming with Pyro, which means they are waiting, like the rest of us, on server meshing and the cargo refactor. So much is hinging on server meshing that I think it's one of those things where so much development is bottlenecked right now, and once we're in 4.0, the floodgates of development will be unleashed. Not that we'll get everything at once, but I think we can probably expect more action and less excuses at that point. Now, other ship changes or questions answered were mostly focused around their work on slowing down combat, so questions about why is this ship not as good as this other ship, or when will this class of fighter be more competitive, etc., are all down to them getting through the new combat style, which they promised to be discussing in more inside Star Citizens later, but Jared said those are looking like late Q3 or early Q4. So if those are not making their way into ISC until then, you cannot possibly expect them until Pyro, which makes sense because of all the things Pyro and server meshing will be changing. Now, as for all the little juicy tidbits in the Star Citizen Live, there weren't many, but here's a quick rundown of things discussed. Tractor beam work is going well, and they discuss various sizes of tractor beams and adjusting mass, etc. for various sized ships. Multi-crew fighting will be more than just a second player in a turret, with them having more to do, which we already know will have them changing out fuses or fixing components once that's a thing. Escape pods will be more a thing once disabling a ship is a thing, because if you have exhausted all other possibilities and the ship is lost, you'll need a way to escape. Ballistic ammo is something that is always going to be limited, but with physicalized cargo, they are hoping to make it something you can refill on your own after a fight without having to go back to a space station by carrying crates of ammos to go and refill yourself, even if that means using your EVA suit to go outside and refill them yourself, which sucks if you have shaky hands like me. Brighter lights are coming because they are aware of how hard it can be to land on those stealth rocks that you cannot see when it's dark as the devil's butt crack outside. They're not trying to nerf every ship out there except the Gladius and Arrow. It just looks that way, like really looks that way, like they just really aren't trying to. Racing support was a bland answer because it's not their department, and John did not want to give away anything that may or may not be in development with the team that is working on something, which sounded like he definitely knows something is coming, but a timeline is anyone's guess. The store-all box of the Aurora will be looked at after physicalized cargo. Ground vehicle refueling is on their radar. They are aware that they need a ground vehicle for refueling, such as the tanker that was in the background of the Vulcan concept, and they mentioned that they will be adding fuel to ground vehicles at some point as well. So which company will get the first refueling ground vehicle? My guess would be Misk. Speaking of ground vehicles, I think John let slip that there was something in the pipeline concerning something that will be in the water because he said that the tech is now in, but wouldn't say why, so Origin yachts for reals. All kidding aside though, I think they have something that might not be ship related with water tech, so this is a very interesting piece of news unless they will just make the current ships not explode when they touch water. The Polaris is still seeing some work being done, such as adjustments to the hangar, and they added a proper docking collar, and Jared hopes to have updated pics of the work for IAE. The Retaliator Gold standard was put on hold as resources were moved around. The Gold Pass on the Starfarer is something they now have the green light to work on, as they were waiting on some piece of tech that again John will not go into further details about, but they acknowledge that it is not very well done and it was one of the earliest ships they worked on. They had answers on why the Ares ships were broken, just that it didn't fit into the game they have now or want as the game changes, and also there are some more weapon tech that they need to work on before it will work as intended, which is more to take out the larger ships versus being a good combat ship to ship with small and medium ships. In other words, it will change and become better when they have the other pieces in place. As for one of my favorites, the Connie, we're getting more struts because John likes the Trollus. Sorry, that was a sick joke by John. He said whenever the Gold Pass happens for the Connies, most of the really annoying struts will be removed, such as the horizontal ones, and the interior will have some slight adjustments, mostly due to the ship component changes and how those have evolved since the ship was initially released. Other than some explanations on why things get moved around, that was the gist of the ship news. So what do you think? This year certainly turning into an all eyes on 4.0 sort of year. Does this mean that there's no reason to play until then? Well, I think that depends on you, but as for me, I'm looking forward to the June patch coming. I'm also looking forward to testing out the upcoming features such as salvaging and of course the cargo refactor. I think there's plenty to take part in over the next 6 months, and I'm sure we'll still be seeing more ships added, which some are gameplay features all unto themselves. That's going to do it for this video. I've been enjoying all the comments received recently and the interactions with you all. Keep them coming and let's discuss what's coming, and even if you're not happy about things, I still want to hear that as well, so long as you're not here to troll. And so on that note, remember to be kind to your fellow gamers, don't forget to close the fuel door on your Earth vehicle after refueling, and stay positive, citizens.